The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Good morning sa mga sa ibang bansa na umaga pa. As we celebrate today the feast or memorial of Saint Pius X, I am reminded that when I was in the mission, we used to celebrate the day of the catechists. No, I do not know in the Philippines if it is celebrated also as the day of catechists today. And I heard that some schools already started their classes. I have 2 teachers here. No, they have started already online or mixed or what they call it. And it reminds us of the importance of formation, Christian formation, especially the Saint Pius X. If I look back my experience of learning, of education, there are some teachers, professors that I appreciate most. And most of these are those who were able to point out the essentials in the course they were teaching us, especially talking about philosophy and theology. No? Those who would give organized, systematic, coherent presentation of the subject matter. If I recall, if I go back, I can still remember, for example, how they organize their subject matter, and still remember these. No? Remember these teachers, professors who could simplify complicated concepts. Then learning becomes fulfilling and interesting. In today's gospel, we find Jesus making that beautiful and useful summary, if we may call it so, of the commandments, which is at the heart of the teaching of the Bible, no? Pointing precisely to the greatest of these commandments, the commandments to love God and to love one's neighbor. Jesus, being a good teacher, or the best teacher, pointed out the essentials of the commandments of God. What makes Jesus the summary, when Jesus makes the summary and the teaching interesting and useful, is that we should note the commandments and laws of the Jewish people were enormous. According to scholars, there are more than 613, I think. And to know the essentials of this would be a difficult task. Maybe even the lawyers would be hard up of knowing every law. How much more an average mortals who are into other concerns of life, like other areas of life, or people who are concerned mainly of surviving. So when Jesus summarized and pointed out the essentials of the law, it must have been a great relief for his followers to learn this. And even the lawyer who interrogated him in the gospel today couldn't say anything or contradict Him. Our life, many times, is complicated, or as spiritual writers would say, we complicate even more what is already complicated. So the first lesson maybe that we can learn from Jesus today is to learn to identify the essentials of our life and hold on to them. And the teaching of Jesus is already the essential, the commandment to love God and neighbor. Maybe the challenge is to follow, for us is to express and live these commandments in concrete. Not only in the sphere of spiritual life that we need to simplify and emphasize the essentials, but also in our everyday life and relationships. This pandemic and lockdowns provided us with an experience that led us to move beyond what we identified as normal things into the new normal. We are invited now to see and appreciate other values that are even more fundamental than what we are accustomed to. We are invited, for example, to see other values like relationships more than anything else, more than other concerns like our profession, our success, our work, business, etc. It is leading us to consider what are the essentials. Jesus, the greatest teacher, wants us to get to the core and not lost in the peripheries or peripherals of things. Also, He calls us to simplify our life, to move beyond the complications of life. He has identified the essential of life, and that is to love.